Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It's a feel good Friday morning, an absolutely amazing feel good Friday morning. This is the Smooth Breakfast, and yours truly is Ayokunmi Kikiriako, ready to take you on a journey into the world of the papers and take a look at the headlines making the rounds in the dailies across Nigeria. This is Freshly Pressed. It's an interactive session, as always, so we're looking forward to you sharing your thoughts with us. On WhatsApp, you can send your messages in on 0809 440 981 0809 440 981. That is the WhatsApp number. Let me take it one more time in case someone says I take it too quickly. 0809 444, that's 4440 981. You can also join us on YouTube. We're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. It's a great morning to talk about the news. And of course, my analyst with me on the show this morning, AB Bozimo, is in as he always is. AB, good morning to you. Great to have you on.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning to all the wonderful listeners, and wish everybody a happy Friday, no matter what we're facing.
A happy Friday it is. Like I said earlier this morning, it's up to you to create your own happiness. Don't wait for anyone. Create your own happiness first. Any other happiness that comes your way, it's an addition. True story. All right, so many papers to get into. We got the Punch, we got the Leadership, the Vanguard. Hey, we got it all this morning. I will begin in the Punch newspaper, and we're talking about the Ajaokuta Steel Company. I mean, it's in the news once again, this time for, well, not the right reasons. Anyways, the moribund Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited risks being disconnected from the power grid over its failure to pay the 1.27 billion naira electricity debt it incurred in the first 3 months of the year. Now, described as a special customer, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, as NERC, disclosed that Ajaokuta Steel Company and the host community did not make any payment towards the 1.27 billion naira and that's the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading PLC, and 0.09 billion naira market operator invoices received in January, February, and March 2024. AB, I know Ajaokuta is not producing steel. Are they making ice blocks there, or what exactly are they using the power to do?
Now, I think the second word in this story is indicative of just what they called it, the what moribund Ajaokuta Steel Company is supposedly consuming 1.27 billion naira worth of electricity. And the question you asked very correctly is doing what exactly? At the end of the day, towards the end of the story, we understand that the TCN had disconnected Ajaokuta Steel Company from the national grid in January when they failed to clear a debt, notice, of 33 billion naira. So they are moribund. They have racked up 33 billion naira in the past and added this jara of 1.27 billion on top.
That's beyond jara.
Just so that, and it's a jara compared
that is beyond jara.
It's a jara-ish sum. But that's not the point. First of all, why, when they disconnected them, why did they reconnect them? They said they're a special customer. Do you know that with proper planning, Ajaokuta Steel Company could actually be a net energy producer rather than consumer? Let's never even talk about the fact that it is moribund, i.e., something or somewhere that should be creating steel for industry and businesses in Nigeria is actually sitting down and doing nothing. If you've driven past that area, as I have many times, in between the north and the south, it brings tears to your eyes. I'm talking about distant looking. I've never been into the complex, but when you see the magnificence of Ajaokuta Steel and you think of what could be, you're reminded of things like Nigeria's refineries, Nigeria's aluminum steel company in Akwa Ibom, Cross River. You are just reminded of all these very wonderful possible industries that should be employing hundreds directly or thousands and giving room for livelihood to millions therefrom. What on earth is making Ajaokuta Steel Company not work? I don't know, but there is truly no excuse. We're talking about an organization that has existed for decades. and you're just racking up these bills. If what does special mean? If you are not paying your bills for a series of years, you should be disconnected. Maybe at that point, they will find a way to either shut it down entirely and put um, tape around it or get cracking. But I blame the MBET for sitting down, giving power to them. And let's not just accuse MBET. Places like the Federal Secretariat in Abuja are also owing billions. So there has to be a better way. Listen, Ayo, as it stands right now, there is simply no way you can make a call on your phone without paying, whether you are a prepaid or postpaid
Definitely.
customer. Within one
Definitely.
month, if you are a postpaid person, you will be barred. So truly, these the MBT and all these other electricity companies have to devise a way where you pay your bills. I blame them.
Hmm. Very interesting. Now, AB, looking at the Ajaokuta Steel complex itself, let's even put the plant on one side. I know that there are some housing complexes within that particular space there that also could be adding to the, should I say, the bills that have been
Of
put out
course.
right there. But I mean, I don't know how many people are living there right now. But I think about 1.2 trillion naira in 3 months. Could it only be
Billion.
that? Could it only be the housing estates and the retirees and so on and so forth living there that are adding to this significant bill because the plant itself isn't producing anything? Like we said, it's moribund. And on the other hand, looking at the fact that it's not a productive sort of area. I mean, these housing complexes and all that, should they actually be functional in the first place? I know, yes, we have a housing deficit and all that. We'll talk about that later on in other stories. But the fact that the plant itself, that is supposed to be the crown jewel right there, isn't producing anything, what's then the point?
That's my point exactly. As much as I am not advocating for the people who live in the vicinity, because they talk about the host community to be totally cut off, there is a focus. That place is called Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited, and it's supposed to be functional. If it's not functional, I'm sorry, everything around it could suffer. In fact, that could be the motivation for the host community to insist on the faculty being brought back to life. But 1.27 billion sounds incredible. I mean, I find it hard to believe that just housing around there would consume that. It's you expect that kind of consumption from actual factory and other activity, not
Right,
from
right, right.
blenders and charging phones. How many phones are you charging for 1.27 billion naira, for goodness sake?
Mm, that's quite a bit. A lot of questions, need to be answered. And the fact that this particular steel company, I mean, it has outlived a number of administrations, at least from as far back as 1979 or 1983 when it was completed or thereabouts. I mean, the number of administrations that it has outlived the military administrations. It has outlived the democratically elected presidents as well. Buhari twice, so it is just a ridiculous thing to see that we're still here in 2024 talking about maintenance and trying to and then turnaround maintenance and so on and so forth for something that has never produced an ounce of steel right from the get-go. What exactly is it that we are doing? It gets confusing, more
Wrong.
and more confusing every single day to hear these sort of things.
There is a lack of will. There is a lack of will. And we're talking about federal administration. There have also been state governors who should ordinarily be benefiting so much from productive activity in their domain. Or rather, some of them are now on the run from the EFCC, no names mentioned.
No names mentioned, but we get the gist. Anyways, on to our next story here. And this is coming out of the Punch newspaper. President Bola Tinubu is set to swear in Justice Kudirat Kekereekun as the Chief Justice of Nigeria today. The swearing-in ceremony is built to take place at the State House Council chambers. Now, she will succeed Justice Olukayode Ariwola, who retired yesterday. Now, this was put out there by the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale. I mean, first of all, happy retirement to the outgoing CJN right there. And it seems like Mr. President has decided to cut short his work stay in France to actually come back for this particular ceremony.
Has he? You know, you can do these things virtually after COVID. But, you know, I don't know. I imagine it's supposed to be done in person. First of all, like you said, is in the law, you you may never know the power of the law till you have to go to a courtroom for even if it's for little civil things. And you realize that it's in these walls that some people's lives and fates are determined, your liberty, so many other things. So the law is a very powerful thing. And it is noteworthy that, you know, the transition of justices from as they come up, rise maybe to the Supreme Court, and one of them becomes the apex lawyer among all of them. Kudos
Mm.
to the former, the outgoing one. His legacy shall be studied long and hard by people in that sector, and also congrats to the incoming Justice Kekere Kunshi. I think she's the second female Chief Justice of the nation. We look forward to a reign or a tenure for her that is marked by advancements in the sector, in the law, and in the respect of the legal profession. And to put a cap on it in a very technical Nigerian term, Ayobami Kekere, we go wash am.
You know what, AV? I won't say anything to that. I plead the fifth all the way. I plead the fifth all the way. Let's take some messages on WhatsApp real quick here before we take a quick breather and come back into more stories. This is Dio. Dio from Fagba says, "Good morning, crew. This government has destroyed our history, our culture, our reputation, integrity. A world's laughing stock drags our name in the mud. Imagine what this Chinese company is seizing all of our assets. It started from the president not having certificates are not coming for debates. Certificates, well, allegedly, were not coming for debates to the fraudulent elections by INEC and the cash and carry judiciary judgment. I don't know the cash and carry judiciary government you're talking about with that. To wrong policies, to borrowings from anywhere, anywhere below face, etc., etc. That's why we're living in this nightmare. It's a shame. The worst of us is ruling the best of us. Truly, there was a country. Thank you for sharing your thoughts very succinctly there, Dio. Adegboyega Adediji says, Ajaokuta, what? Did I hear you well? Um, Ayo, I'll say Ayo, not what you said. The same way they keep spending money on turnaround maintenance of refineries that are not functioning. I conclude by saying Nigeria is a scam. Well, honestly, this is not a laughing matter. Why are these people taking us for a ride? Something is wrong with us, honestly. So many questions, not enough answers. The same thing may be truly with the refineries, turnaround maintenance.
For
You're maintaining something
decades.
that is not producing anything.
And you don't even remember how much is being paid to the staff in those, I can call them moribund Nigerian refineries. But at least we got good news. They said that you people should hold your breath and wait for that Port Harcourt refinery to start working next month again. 7th postponement.
One, two, three, four, five, six, seventh time is more than a charm. We'll wait and see if that actually happens. Let's take a quick breather here. When we come back and we'll take more stories on Freshly Pressed. Ayokunmi and AB are in on this one. Don't go anywhere.
Sorry, I got it wrong. Ayokunmi, not Ayobami. Well, but I got it wrong. Sorry.
Someone already sent a message. Tinubu to swear in Justice Kudera Kekereekun today. Our presenter is Ayokunmi Kekereekun. Any similarities?
Okay, I knew it. I mean, I had to just put that little thing in the tail, make people laugh, hopefully.
My goodness.
Ayokumi. Sorry, I got the name wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's understandable. Then this issue of their season apartments, why do we have a jet in Canada?
Putting our apartments on eBay, meaning if you have $2 million, you can now buy Nigeria's property. It's embarrassing, Sha. Hey, my goodness, $2 million, pay you own Nigerian property like that.
Cash and carry.
No. Cash and carry as in can buy, I'm going to go to the market, buy fish, buy bole, buy one of Nigeria's properties and come back. God, I beg.
Alrighty, you're welcome back to Freshly Pressed on a Feel Good Friday morning on your Love Music Love Live station, Smooth 98.1. This is the Smooth Breakfast. My name is Ayokunmi Kekereekun. AB is also in with me this morning, taking a look at the stories and giving his analysis and, of course, perspective on the issues. You can also give us your thoughts this morning by sharing your messages on WhatsApp on 0809 440 981. 0809 440 981. Also join us on the live stream out there on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. That's on YouTube. Let me sneak a couple of messages in and we'll get back to the story before they pile up like rush hour traffic. Who's talking to us here? This is Ajaokuta, who says a moribund Ajaokuta Steel Company is allegedly consuming electricity to the tune of billions of naira without doing anything. Add to the billions of naira personnel costs that are also consumed yearly. You find no other proof of the bad government we are shouting about. May God help us. Thank you so much for your thoughts, Ajay. Let me see here. There's no name attached to this message. I'll come back to this one. I'll come back to this message. David says, it's unthinkable to believe that Ajaokuta Steel consumed 1.27 billion naira worth of electricity, which is 6 million kilowatt hours of electricity. I work in one of the biggest FMCG companies in Nigeria, and I manage power supply for my firm. Even with 80% grid consumption, my average is barely 1.2 million kilowatt hour. No matter the type of inductive load they have, it is impossible to consume that much. A lot seems to be unexplained here. Aha, we have someone who is in that field and kind of making sense of the whole mathematics, because those numbers
when a person speaks from that position of knowledge, it is very instructive. It gives us context. I said it. I asked a bit facetiously, how many phones do you need to charge to make 1.27 billion naira, since they are not producing anything?
That is the question. Abbas says, hatred for the president will not even make some of us see things properly. How do you relate this government to an issue that happened between a Chinese company and Ogun State? And if the government tries everything to stop their actions, we'll still condemn them in a way. Sorry, Abbas, who is the president that is in the office right now? It's not me. It's not me. So they have to mop up the mess or figure out how to mop the mess up. I'm sorry, but hey, I don't make the rules at the end of the day. All right, back to the stories, AB. Let's take this one out of the leadership, where the federal government has said that a whopping 55 trillion naira will be needed to fix Nigeria's housing deficit over the next 10 years. Now, this was disclosed by the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Musa Dangiwa, on Thursday in Abuja during a special press briefing to mark his first anniversary in office as minister. Now, we know that Nigeria has a serious housing deficit, and it is an alarming thing to see. And of course, you are an architect as well, so you play in this space. What do you make of this particular one here?
One of the hallmarks of leadership is about what leaders prioritize. Based on this story and simple mathematics, we can tell that we would require about 550,000 housing units each year for the next 10 years, meaning for 5.5 trillion a year, we could guarantee roughly 550,000 housing units. I did quick math. That is just a bit over 14,000 units for each state and the federal capital territory. If you just took an average, obviously states like Lagos with a high population would justifiably get many more homes, and places like Ajaokuta shouldn't get any because they might have a few more phones to charge there for 1.27 billion. But the fact is, for a mere 5.5 trillion, you guarantee 550,000 homes. Do you know the effect economically of construction of homes across the entire nation? The boost to GDP, the utilization of labor, the utilization of professionals, the logistics companies involved, the entire country would be buzzing with construction. As a matter of fact, in the United States, each month they measure what they call housing starts as an indicator of the sense of where the economy is going. I say all this to say, for a mere, again, 5.5 trillion, you could get 550,000 homes, roughly 14.8 thousand homes across every state of the nation. But instead, a leader chooses to make one project, the Calabar Coastal Highway, for 15 trillion naira in one location. that will not finish across 8 years. So you have to ask what drives the priorities. There's nothing wrong per se with a road like the Calabar Highway, Coastal Highway, but there's an existing road from the east to the west that is incomplete and in many places dangerous. It's the same thing that drives me batty when I think of how we said to prioritize connecting rail between Nigeria and Niger. Well, we've not connected rail between um, that same Kogi State, Itakpe, and Abuja, or between Warri and Port Harcourt, and many other parts of Nigeria. What drives the priorities? So 550,000 housing units would create a groundswell of economic activity, add dignity to those who would be getting the homes. It would create a sense of place for people because when you own a home or you have a specific place you're renting, you have an opportunity to become part of something larger than yourself and contribute to community. But no, this is stark numbers. It's clearly the way to go. The minister has done the analysis. I dare say he has presented it in what they call it, FEC. Whether the leadership of Nigeria will see the manifest opportunities in there remains the question. I say again, do you know that thing about housing, unlike maybe our wonderful oil sector, is that housing hires people from the man who pushes the wheelbarrow to the woman who sells groundnuts and rice at the site, all the way through the workers, the tradespeople, plumbers, masons, everything, all the way up through the professionals, the owners, the mortgage bankers. There's so many people. The people who do painting, wallpaper. So it's just a pity that this kind of clear, what I call quote unquote low hanging fruit, is being left for what I will for now consider a fanciful project of the coastal highway. The opportunities are manifest here, but they refuse to take what is in front of them. Pity.
Right. Okay, AB, before we leave this particular story, now let's go into the realm of make-believe here. Now, these housing units, they've been constructed, it's all honky-dory. Now, how do we ensure that these units actually get to those who desperately need them? Because you know what they say, the Nigerian factor, more often than not, comes into play.
Well, we luckily have NIN, BVN, every N on the world. It is possible to engage the citizenry with the number that we have all been told to get. At that point, you will find people rushing to get the number because there is a potential benefit. You know, the way they were forcing us, shutting down phone lines, making threats. If you simply made a situation where, based on the availability and validity of your NIN, there are certain government facilities and services you may have access to seamlessly. Trust me, you wouldn't be asking people to go, you'd be begging them to stop coming or giving them shifts to come. So it is possible to engage the Nigerian populace with technology. We have chosen not to do so thus far. I always, just a small anecdote, my first most impressive interaction with Nigerian government was when I applied for my NIN in 2012 or 2013. In the comfort of my home, I got on my computer, I put in my information, I picked an appointment date, and lo and behold, on the date and time appointed, I was there, and the person sat on one computer, I sat on the other side with the corresponding screen, and we went through it, and I got my NIN appointed. It was lovely. Since then, from the crowds I see at many NIN locations, I think the process has slowed down, but it need not. After all, when you do a transfer right now in this same Nigeria, it is 99% successful. Technology works in Nigeria. There's nothing about Nigeria that doesn't let technology work. So you can engage with people, even and including the housing sphere, using technology. There's nothing that can't be done with technology.
All right, let's take some more messages. Tony from Marine Beach says, Nigeria is already a question padded with a lot of questions. Ajaokuta never working. Billions paid as salaries yearly. Our refineries are never working. And the ones that are working will either never get crude or encounter unnecessary bottlenecks in attempts to get crude. The list is endless. The answer is, if these things start working, the businesses of some high and mighty will collapse. Therefore, status quo must be maintained, and Nigerians suffer deprivation of what nature blessed them with. All right, Oluwaseyi says, is Ajaokuta producing steel or functioning? How did they manage to rack up that amount of electricity bill? And why did it take this long to cut them off when the teaching hospitals have been cut off for far less? Ajaokuta is a white
Ah,
elephant project when you go into its specifications and technology. The news isn't complete. What is the power being used for? Maybe ice block making, I don't know. Because to my knowledge, they are not producing anything. Are they producing the ice for the Arctic Pole, the Arctic Circle, and Antarctica as well? Your guess is as good as mine. Dakbot says, how can the International Committee of Nations have any respect for Nigeria with our carnal, lackadaisical, and extravagant ineptitude, the way we handle matters of urgency? The authorities which exist in this country have no credibility, hence the attitude of no regard towards us. Let me see. This is okay. This is Emmanuel from Aja. He says, as for the Ajaokuta Steel Company, a few years ago, as a metallurgical and materials engineer during my undergraduate studies, we visited Ajaokuta during our field trip. And one of the things we were told when we were there was that Ajaokuta produces their electricity by themselves. And they even went
ah,
as far as showing us the power plant, and it was operational. And that was what they were currently using. I don't know where all this debt is coming from. Well, it's Nigeria. Things can change just like that.
that was my point exactly. That ordinarily, Ajaokuta should be a net producer to contribute to the grid, not suck from it.
Mm. Tonya says, at what stage was the tipping point for the outstanding Ajaokuta steel mill bill too much? It had to get to 1.2 billion naira. How rich is the power provider to shoulder a bill that went from 250 million to half a billion? How? And okay, Tonya is wondering how we can connect with AB. We'll talk about that offline, Tonya, and we'll see what we can do on that front. Let me sneak one more in and we'll sneak in another story. Judy says, here in Lagos, there are too many homeless people, which is very true. I've seen too many around. And this is even seen in VI. Judy, are you in my mind? And other posh areas in Lagos, we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Each time the number of homeless people are increasing, the government ought to be looking into this. True story right there. All right, Ibi, let's quickly get this story, this final story in, and of course, it has to do with matters of security coming out of the Guardian. Now, the coalition of northern group CNG on Thursday condemned the abduction and brutal murder of His Highness Alhaji Isa Mohammed Bawa, the Emir of Gobir. Now, the coalition stated that the tragic incident is a severe assault on both the esteemed traditional institution and the moral fabric of our society. Hey, even royalty are not spared from this. And it was such a sad one, looking at the fact that there was a video that went out pleading for his life. He was still killed at the end of the day. And we still have 20 medical students who are in captivity. I mean, does this ever
Right
end?
now,
Really quickly, AB.
very quickly, first of all, prayers go out to him, his family, and all people connected. All Nigerians are in mourning because we will all pass on, but not in such a manner. And they're condemning the Sokoto state government. The Sokoto state government actually has no control over security. In this instance, it is the federal government that has, control of security apparatus. So it's the FG. Listen, the entire scenario is terrorism. Kidnapping is just as it's terrorism. You don't take people, kill them willy nilly, and there are other people who are still in captivity. There is technology, starting with drones, and I'm not an expert, that will permit you to go up, surveil an area, ascertain pockets of people, determine where they are not supposed to be. Because you see, there are noted villages gazetted all over the country, but there's places in the wilderness where they're not supposed to be. Send ground forces there, determine who it is, and when they are the wrong people, take them out. You cannot continue having people feeling that they can go willy-nilly among. There's nothing like ungoverned space. We don't want to govern it. There's technology to ensure that people's movement can be monitored. So this is one more unfortunate situation that could have been avoided. Are there criminals? Yes. Is there technology to control criminality? Yes. Are we investing in it? No. We're investing in brand new Airbuses with which to travel to and from France.
All right. Adewale says, our problems are basic, very basic. We are not even asking for too much. Just make the basic things like electricity, infrastructure, agriculture, and industries work. It's not rocket science. Truly, majority of our leaders have no empathy. Igabolu says, AB, you can't isolate the Sokoto state governments. The federal government's role is territorial security. This is a local matter. All hands must be on deck. And on that note, we need to call it a morning on Freshly Pressed. Thank you so much, AB, for taking the time out to join us on the show. Always a pleasure having you every single other day you join us on the program.
The pleasure and privilege are mine in terms of how I can be get up at AB Bozimo on all platforms typically. No problem.
Right at Sonia at AB Bozimo on all platforms. That's EBIBOZIMO on all platforms.
All
So you
right.
can shoot AB a DM, and of course you can get talking. Thank you so much for sending your messages in. Keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1 because at 8:15 we'll take a walk into the locker room. Don't go anywhere.